Let's see if we can tackle this group assignment on flexible budgets. So we're talking about Phoenix Company's 2015 master budget included the following fixed budget report. We know what a fixed budget is at this point, right? It is based on an expected production sales volume of 15,000 units. And here's all the information that we need. So this is the fixed budget report, their sales, cost of goods sold, selling expenses, all those great things. And it says prepare the flexible budgets for the company at sales volumes of 14,000, 16,000, and classify all items listed in the fixed budget as variable or fixed. So here's what they've done. I believe what they're asking us to do is just break out all of the information basically between variable and fixed. So we're having to change this income statement format to a contribution margin format. It wants us to break the variable amounts down per unit, then get a fixed cost column in here, and then it wants us to flex the budget so that we can see what the budget would look like at 14,000 units and 16,000 units. So the first part of this exercise really is to break the income statement down into its variable components. But without a doubt, you should know that we're going to start with sales. We always start with sales because we like sales. That's where the fun stuff is. So then it's going to ask us for the variable costs. Well, we need to go see if we can figure out what the variable costs are. So let's see if we can identify them. We know without a doubt that direct material and direct labor are variable costs, right? Machinery repairs, they're telling us that it's variable. What about depreciation, plant equipment, straight line? I think that feels kind of fixed, right? The utilities, they're telling us that 45,000 of this 195 is variable, so obviously 150,000 is fixed. How about plant management salaries? Yeah, if you said fixed, you'd absolutely be right. These are salaries. If it said wages, then it might be variable, but management's typically going to be salaried and going to be fixed. Let's go ahead and look down through here. What else? In selling expenses, how about packaging? I'd say that the more you sell, the more you have to package, and for that matter, the more you sell, the more you have to ship. So I think those are absolutely going to be variable. They're telling us that this one is fixed, right? Advertising, they're not breaking it out for us any kind of way. Oh, look, it's somebody's birthday. They're not breaking it out for us any kind of way. Same thing with salaries, same thing with entertainment. Don't you want to work there? $90,000 worth of entertainment expense. Hope they had a company party and we were invited. But maybe it's the company Christmas party, who knows? It is December 31, 2015, as a matter of fact. That'd be one heck of a Christmas party, right? All right, so I think we've identified the variables pretty well. Let's go ahead and get those put in here. So variable cost, we started up there with direct material. So we'll go ahead and put that one in, and then direct labor. You can always guarantee on those. And then we had machinery repairs. If you remember up there, that was saying that it was variable as well. There was utilities up there that had a variable piece. And then we had packaging that we thought was variable, and we had shipping, which we thought was variable, and that was it for the variable pieces of it. Let's go ahead and pop the fixed cost. So all of the other stuff up there, everything else that was up there has to be included then in fixed cost. So depreciation was, I believe, the first fixed one that we saw, and then we had the fixed portion of utilities. Plant management salaries came next. We got to make sure we're on the right one. We had sales salaries. Again, get on the right one. And let's see, advertising expense was in there. And we had salaries, just general old salaries. And we had entertainment. Okay, so that's the stuff that we had in there. Let's go ahead and start getting our flexible budget filled out. So we're getting down to sales, and we want sales per unit. So how do we figure this one out? Well, if you come up here and you look, it said sales were $3 million. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to see if I might have to just realign my screens just a little bit so we can have a calculator available without me flipping around too much. Let's go ahead and pull one up. Just for demonstration purposes, that would be good. Okay, so if I'm going to get to the unit sales price, what am I going to do? I've got 3 million here. How do I figure it out? Well, they told us that it was the budget based on 15,000 units. So wouldn't the unit price be 3 million divided by 15,000? So 200 per unit. I think that sounds pretty good. So we'll do 200 per unit. What about direct materials? Can we apply the same kind of math for that? Yeah, absolutely. So 975 divided by 15 is going to get us down to 65. I'm just dropping the 3 zeros at the end, folks. If you haven't figured that out in math, right, just believe me. You can work it out. I'll just prove it. 975,000 divided by 15,000 equals the same thing, 65. 65 for direct materials. Direct labor, if I do 225 divided by 15, I'm going to get 15. And then if I do machinery repairs, it's 60 divided by 15, I'm going to get 4. Right? What else? I had the utilities at 45,000 divided by 15,000 gives me 3. Right? Packaging there, 75 divided by 15 gives me 5. Shipping is 105 divided by 15 and gives me 7. So I've calculated all of those out. Let's go plug them in. So the direct material piece was 65. The direct labor was 15. Machinery repairs was 4. Utilities was 3. Packaging was 5. And shipping was 7. So they gave us this number down here of 99, but they didn't. They're not really telling us what it is. What do you think it is? I mean, it's the addition of these things, right? Well, what do you call all these things? We call them variable cost. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? Make sure you fill it out though, because it'd be wrong if you leave it blank. Total variable cost are 99, and now they've got something under here. Oh no, whatever could we do, right? There's a double line. It means there's a total for something here. I'm assuming then that they want sales minus variable cost. Do you remember what we call that? Hopefully you pick contribution margin. 200 minus 99 is 101. Okay? All right, so not too bad there. Now we've got to fill out our fixed costs. Well, mind you, if you look at the directions, right, it says put all fixed cost in the fixed cost column, not the variable cost. So we don't need to do this weird division. We don't need to do this at all. We just got to put the numbers over in this column. So let's just go look at it. The depreciation was 300,000. Okay. Utilities, the fixed piece is 150,000, and then 200,000 for plant management salaries. Okay, 300,000. Utilities were 150,000. Plant management salaries were 200,000. Okay, then we had sales salaries, advertising, all that good stuff. Sales salaries were 250, advertising 125, salaries 241, and entertainment, that Christmas party, was 90,000. All right, so sales salaries again were 250,000. Advertising expense was going to be 125,000. Salaries were going to be 241,000. And entertainment expense is going to be 90,000. Okay, again we have some kind of total down here. What do you think it's a total of? Probably total fixed cost. And then let's just go ahead and finish out the column. So if I take contribution margin times fixed cost, what in the world would I possibly get? Let's see what they've got. Yeah, it's income, right? It's going to be our income. We just don't have it over here for the budgeted piece yet. We've got to get into that. Okay. So now that we have our flexible budget filled out, we've got our per unit for variable and sales, and we've got our total fixed cost. Let's see if we can figure out what they're asking for. I'm going to bring this back over again because we need to do a little bit more math. My mouse doesn't want to work. So I think we can just go ahead and work it out this way. I think I can get enough over here that we can see them. Good. How are we going to figure this out? What's going to be unit sales at 14,000? You got it, right? So 200 times 14,000. It's going to be 2,800,000. I mean, it's no more difficult than that. I'm not going to do all of these, but 65 times 14,000 is not 910,000 because I typed something wrong. 65 times 14 is going to be, oh, it is 910,000. I didn't type anything wrong. 910,000. Sorry about that. 910. If I took 15 times the 14,000, I get 210,000. If I do 4 times 14,000, I get 56,000. 3 times 14,000, I get 42,000. 5 times the 14,000 is 70,000. 7 times the 14,000 is 98,000. And now I'm back down to contribution margin. How do we figure it out? A couple of ways, right? I can take 2,800,000 minus 1,386,000, and it gives me 1,414,000, right? But folks, couldn't I have just taken 101 times 14,000? And the answer is absolutely, right? I mean, that kind of makes it easy. Why do I even need to do all of this? Why can't I just take, for this one, why don't I just take 101 times 16,000? And the answer is you can. This is 1616000. Unfortunately, Connect wants us to do it all. So if I take 200 times 16,000, I get 3,200,000. For direct materials, I'm going to get 1,040,000. For direct labor, I get 240,000. Again, I'm just taking the unit cost times 16,000. For machinery repairs, I'm going to get 64,000. For utilities, I get 48. Oops. For packaging, I get 80. And for shipping, I get 112,000. Did it work? Does the 1616 work? Let's see. 3,200 minus 1584. 1,616,000. Okay, well that kind of makes sense, and I think that might help us in the future a little bit as well. Now we get down here to the fixed cost. Well, what's it going to be? Are we within the relevant range? Yeah. Isn't it going to be the same? Absolutely. 300,000. Whether we're doing 14 or 16, doesn't matter. 150, 200,000, 250,000. 125,000, 241,000. Don't you like it when Connect tries to make a point? 90,000. All right, so you'll see that the fixed costs are going to be 1,356,000 across the board. So what does this do for us? Well, now it allows us to calculate our income from operations. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to take our contribution margin minus our total fixed costs. So 1414 minus 1356, and we get 58,000 here. And then if we look over at our 16,000, 1616 minus 1356 is going to give us 260,000. Isn't that interesting, right? 58,000 if we produce 14,000 units of sales, but just for 2,000 more units of sales, I go from 58,000 to 260,000 income for operations. That might be worthwhile, without a doubt. Okay, so hopefully you got an understanding of this. A couple things I really want to point out though. Look, once you know this contribution margin, a lot of what-if calculations become very, very simple. Especially, and once you know this number doesn't change. This number doesn't change, and this number doesn't change. It becomes really easy to flex and see what income from operations is going to be at many, many different levels. Without a doubt, I mean, I could figure out pretty quickly what income from operations is going to be if I did 13,352 units, right? I mean, I think all I need to do is take 13,352 times 101. That gives me my contribution margin. And then if I ended up subtracting that from 1,356,000, which is my fixed cost, I'm going to be at a loss. of 7,448. Wasn't that fast? I mean, you can really impress some people by doing this. So let's go down and take a look at a forecasted contribution margin income statement. It says the business conditions are improving. One possible result is sales volume of 18,000. Company president's confident volume is within the relevant range. Good to know because that would change fixed cost otherwise. How much would operating income increase over the 2015 budget amount if this level is reached without increasing capacity? So they've kind of given us a chart to show you what I just did over here on the right. They're saying, hey, don't worry about all those variable costs and all those fixed costs, because as long as you know contribution margin and you know fixed costs, you can figure this out. Contribution margin is 101. That means our contribution margin in dollars is $1,515,000. We know what fixed costs are, $1,356,000. Okay, so if we take that now, we can, again, this is the 15,000. We know that we're at 159,000. They told us that. We'll verify that. Let's go take a look. So if we take 1515 minus 1356, we get that 159,000. So what happens if we sell 18,000 units? Well, it's 1818 minus 1356. We're going to have 462,000 of net income. So and the manager wanted to know that. It's good to be able to give them that very, very quickly. There's absolutely no necessity to go all the way up here and fill all this in. All you need is contribution margin per unit and your total fixed cost, and you're golden. You can figure this out quickly. In a matter of seconds, you could tell him that he's going to have increased net income of $303,000 just by going up to 18,000 unit sales. Very quick. All right, what about the opposite side of that? There's been an unfavorable change, and the manager wants to know what's going to happen if it falls to 12,000 units. It's the same thing. We can work it out really quick. Contribution margin's 101. That gives us 1515000 at 15,000 units, right? Fixed cost is 1356000 no matter what, right? Look at what it's doing over here at 12,000 units, because now it becomes easy math. We know that at 15,000 units, it's 159,000. What happens when it's at 12,000 units? 1212 minus 1356 is going to be a negative. Make sure you put the minus sign, minus 144,000. There's not a lot of margin of safety in there, is it? Because we know that he was at a profit at even 14,000 units when we flexed the budget earlier, but just by dropping sales by 2,000 units, he's going to be at a pretty significant loss. So this is the kind of information that our managers want, and it's great when we can provide them very fast what-if scenario answers to these types of questions. It helps our management make better decisions. He knows he doesn't want to drop below a certain number of units. As a matter of fact, he doesn't want to drop much below 14,000 units, because we saw in my example over here that even dropping into the mid 13,000 units, he's going to be at a small loss. So this is just the kind of information we can have, and that's why that contribution margin number class is so extremely important, because it just saves you a ton of time in your budgeting, your planning, and your forecasting. Make sure that you hit check my work, that you got all of your titles in, everything's looking right. Make sure that I didn't make any mistakes in here as well. If you have any questions, make sure you post it out on the discussion board, or if you want, feel free to send me an email. And that will conclude our group for Chapter 21.